Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, February 14th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Monday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame here. One thing you'll notice, especially if you drop down into the lower time frame, 60-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute, is that price is now back above the previous week's low price. Price was trading below the previous week's low for much of the pre-market here, and now popped back above that level. That's going to be a key level to watch here today. If price can continue to hold above the previous week's low price of 43.93s, we could be looking at a return back to last week's midpoint, which is 44.89. 44.89 is about right here, which almost takes you basically all the way back to the previous week's close price, or previous month's close. That black dot, that's about the 89s right there. If price can continue to hold the previous week's low here throughout the day, we could be looking at a move back toward the previous week's midpoint by tomorrow or early this week. So again, looking for price to hold that previous week's low price. A failure to hold that level could open up additional weakness up ahead, but we're trying to see where do we find rejection on this recent move. If we can find a higher low, there could be a great quick reaction right back to the top of the range as well. All right, let's take a look here at the NQ. Looking at the NQ, you see very similar price action as well. The previous week's low is right here. Price right now trying to reject those levels here below it and trying to pop back above it. Again, if price can hold this zone and bounce, we have the midpoint of the previous week at 14,624. 14,624 puts you somewhere about right here. Again, looking for some sort of bounce back toward that midpoint by early in the week, perhaps today, tomorrow, Wednesday. But again, if that previous week's low holds, you continue to see a bounce back toward that zone. A failure here, and you open up the key range low for a major test down below. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. Crude oil right now down a bit, but just hit a new high for the current move. Today's high right now is 94.94. We've talked about a likely continuation to 96s. We've had 96 as our target ever since the strong low on this day right there. If I drag it up just a little bit here, you'll see this day right there, where that was the strong low. Ever since that day, we projected the key range and the likely upside target. So that's been ever since basically the end or the very beginning of December here, and it's worked its way all the way almost there now. After a big day on Friday, we're seeing a little bit of a fade after trend day, but the idea here is the uptrend is still in full effect. If price were to pull back another day or so, that could still provide a bounce here, but we're looking for a continuation toward 96s ahead. All right, let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trying to develop a higher low. This is something we talked about last week. We mentioned that after this big push up, this was a transition phase. It looks very transitory there, where it looks like we have a shot to not only bounce back above that zone, but trigger quite a bit more strength out of here. Additionally, you're seeing a failed new low develop today off of the previous session's low. You can see that narrow range that has developed over the last several days here. We can quantify that range, and we mentioned before that if we look at, say, a 4 or 5 day range, on a 4 or 5 day basis here, we're about 68%, looking at about 8,000 points of potential range. Let's look at on a 4 day here, and the same type of thing. It was right on top of it here. So for the most part, compression here, a little bit of a pullback. If it can continue to hold this pullback into 40, it may not even get that deep. We have a shot to reach the next zone above, which is as high as 52. So 52 could be the next major target up above if prices can continue to hold a pullback into 40. Again, one thing that was very important is we've been in a downtrend since November here, but you see that price is now pushing up. 8-period average coming to provide support. You can see the slower 21 period average providing support here as the low of the day. This could be a major jumping off point for Bitcoin up ahead if it can continue to hold this zone. If we take a look at Ether futures, this one is up on the day by 0.5% and is showing a similar higher low right now. Again, 2800, 2750, the big zone here. Big transition phase here, a pullback as we mentioned before. And we had a 4-day narrow range right here, which suggested we could see about 680 points of range. We've seen upwards of 1,000 points of range here recently. So between 700 and 1,000 points of range could be seen ahead. And if this is a strong low, 2830, and we're going, say, 700 points higher, we could be looking at a 35 target up ahead, which is the previous year's midpoint. Rather, the top of the pivot range there. Previous year's midpoints there. So we could be looking at a decent rally back up toward the previous year's close here if price can continue to hold this zone. Again, if there's some sort of failure to hold above 2750 or 28, we may make another rotation back down. But as of right now, bulls are doing just enough to keep this interesting. And if they can hold this zone, there's another shot higher to the tune of 600 to 800 points at the very least. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the new week of trading. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.